Hi guys, welcome back to another exploration. This time it's the old abandoned Cypress Knee Museum in Florida. This was explored last year and it was owned and operated by the famous Thomas Gaskins at the time. So let's go in and take a look. It's a little overgrown and I'm terrified of snakes. Especially since Thomas Gaskins complained about them getting into his exhibits when it was operating. So you can imagine now that it's been abandoned so long. Plus there's broken glass everywhere all over the floor, which you can well imagine from all those glass exhibits over there. If you're not familiar with Thomas Gaskins, he was nuts about the knees that grew on the cypress trees, and he used to make shapes out of them and put them in the exhibits over there. And I would assume that this was the ticket booth and where you got your information pamphlets from. It's also known as an open-air museum, which you can see, and supposed to surround the largest transplanted cypress tree in the world, which is somewhere in this tangled foliage mess here. You can see there's lots of graffiti here, since it's been abandoned. It's actually pretty artistic. And here's a sample on the ground of the broken glass all over. And there's an inner walkway here, and then there's an outer walkway. It's like that throughout. So we'll go on the outer walkway first. Somebody's belt there on the left. And that looks like a baby shoe here on the right. You can see that he used a sand substrate for all of his displays. He actually retired in 1998, and he left the business to his son. But then shortly after, they prohibited the cutting of the cypress knees from the trees. So this prompted a lot of thieves to break into this museum and steal most of his displays. So they closed down in 2000. It was around 1938 when he first took an interest in the cypress knees and started making carvings of them. And then the early 1950s is when he actually made a business out of it, which would be this one here. So he was in business for about 50 years before closing. He purchased the land in 1951 for only $15 and a handshake. It's along Highway 27 in Palmdale, Florida, which actually was the main highway route at one time that ran between Orlando and Miami, where a lot of these attractions where a lot of families would come down from the north to the south and visit. It's kind of before Disney took hold and the toll roads came into play. Looks like an old phone jack there. You can imagine there'd be a lot of families walking through here at one time and laughing at all the different displays, the different shapes that he would create, such as this here. It's something different, that's for sure. Yeah, apparently he collected knees from quite a few states, so they're all listed there if you want to pause it. We're just working our way back to the beginning here, to the inner walkway, so we'll start heading down here. He'd always file them down to like a satin finish, and sometimes he would jab objects into them like phone receivers, or he'd put heavy weights on them to form different shapes. And depending on what they look like or who they look like, he would put that on display for the label. So we were over on that other side of the display there. Now we're still on the inside, overlooking the cypress tree. Here's the tree. Oh, and across the road on Highway 27, he put a real dodgy ramp for walking, like a boardwalk that he made himself out of 2x4s. It was about 3/4 of a mile long, and he would tell the customers that if anyone falls through, don't worry about it, just push the gators aside. So I checked to see if it was still there, but unfortunately it's long gone. And I'm just wondering what these little holes are, if they were part of the exhibits or something else. Because if you look at this exhibit here, you'll see in a second, but the bottom part has like little legs that dig into the sand. But nah, I doubt it. I mean, it's been abandoned for like, 19 years now, so yeah, likely something else. Just about back to the beginning where we started again. Well, Tom Gaskins, it's been a good run. Thanks for creating and leaving us with these fine memories that'll go back in the history books forever. And thank you guys for exploring with me. See you in the next video.